Hey everyone, welcome back to this fantastic channel. So today I'm going to be doing something pretty interesting. As you see from the title and the thumbnail, this is all about writing music for children, elementary school, middle school, just writing music for early musicians and what you have to look out for. And how I'm going to be demonstrating this is through showing you a band piece that I actually wrote recently, and how I went about it and what you have to look out for. And you'll notice how surprisingly difficult it is to write music for beginning musicians because there are so many restrictions that you have to keep in mind, and you can't just write anything. You have to be very, very careful. So essentially how this all went about is, so I was in quarantine for the past 10 days, and during my lessons with my composition teacher, she asked me, so I was working on this band piece like grade 4 level for like a advanced high school collegiate level, and it's very difficult for me to write without a piano, being at a physical piano. I had a little MIDI keyboard with like 32 keys, but that definitely did not replace the utility of a grand piano or something like that. So I basically put that project on hold, and my teacher's like, hold on, let's try something else. Let's try writing a grade 0.5 band piece. And if you don't know what the grade levels are, that's basically like the simplest, most rudimentary levels of concert music that you can write really for band. And I was like, okay, I've never done that before, so what do I have to look out for? And I basically was given the first few set of pitches that the band students would have learned by now. So it's like a B flat pentachord or something like that. And that's all I could use, and use very simple rhythms, and let's see what you come out with. And it has to be fun. So yeah, I did that in about a week. I turned it around in about a week, composed the entire thing, and I'm just going to kind of show you and just walk you through the score and show you what I had to think about while writing it to make sure that it's very accessible for these young players. But if you're new here, I'm Carlos. I'm a composer and music student based in the Chicago area, and on this channel we explore how to lead more productive lives as composers and musicians. So that's enough rambling for me. Let's go on to the score, and I will show you Sibelius and what I did to make this great band piece. Alright, so welcome back to the Sibelius file. This is the band piece that I wrote. It is about 7 pages. Standard instrumentation pretty much for band, I guess, for elementary, middle school maybe, and basically it's called Pirate Quest, and some astute Sibelius users might notice the file name is called Latin Groove up here. Well, the thing was, it was a Latin groove before it wasn't, so I basically scratched that idea and never really changed the file name, so it stopped being Latin because as I'll explain later, syncopation is not really allowable for this young of a player base. So I'll just play a little bit of it, and you can get an idea how it sounds. So as you might notice too, there are some clapping things here. I didn't really program those sounds in, so it's pretty much replaced by the wood block down here in the percussion part. So yeah, I'll just play a little bit of it. basically, let's go over some of the things I had to keep in mind. So we have to talk about the written pitches for the allowable ranges for these instruments at these levels. It's pretty much like their low B flat is their lowest note. So like down here for the tubas, and then depending on the ranges, it's low B flat or their B flat up to around G. And of course that's kind of hard to explain because these they all have different ranges, but those are usually the pitches they can use. So it's like at most a 6-note range, and you can't really use accidentals that much. I use them very sparingly, pretty much never at all, except for down here when I hit a B natural. That's just kind of like the in the dominant chord that just gave it some color. But other than that, you got to keep it pretty diatonic and don't really add many accidentals, especially for this young of group. But yeah, so the important thing to keep in mind too is rhythm. So you have to keep it very, 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 very simple. Quarter notes, half notes, whole notes, eighth notes at most. And you can add some slurs if they're like stepwise, nothing crazy. And of course interval jumps have to be very simple too, like thirds, fourths, maybe fifths, and of course stepwise motion again is great. And also an important thing for writing music for like 0.5 or 1/2 is that you want to make sure, if you want to get your music actually played, if you self-publish or whatever, is making it fun for the players. So have like clapping sections whenever you can. I have clapping sections twice in the piece. It just gives the players, you know, something to remember and something fun to do. They can also have like screaming or yelling or speaking or shouting, I don't know, like some vocal sounds. I decided not to do that in this piece. I was thinking about it, but it didn't really fit well for this. But there's a lot of pieces that incorporate just making like noises, and that's always fun for them. Just make sure that there's time for them to switch back to their instruments. So for example here, when after they clap, they have a full measure of rest for them to start playing again. And same thing in the other clapping section. Where is it? Right here. So after they play their instrument right here, they have almost 2 full measures before they start clapping again, and then another full measure before they play again. And make sure you indicate the play. Yeah, it's super fun to play around with. Always add your rehearsal marks too. They're very important. And I still have to fix the parts. So yeah, I didn't do anything with parts yet. As you can see, it's very unpolished, but the score is pretty much ready to go. And yeah, again, so there are 3 takeaways with all of this. Oh, also, dynamics you got to keep pretty simple too. I didn't really mention that. Same thing with articulations. You can use staccatos, you can use accents. Yeah, let me show you what the percussion does, because percussion can be kind of confusing for some people when you write for this kind of group. So this is kind of what you see when you look at other published pieces. You have like usually a mallet part, so glockenspiel or xylophone. Sometimes they just call them bells. Timpani is usually optional, especially for this young of a group, but I have it anyway. And important thing I didn't do, so let me do this. You usually want to write the tuning notes for them. Keep it like very simple. So they only use C or low F and then C, C3. So yeah, make sure you put that in. I'm glad I caught that. Percussion 1, is usually like a snare and bass drum. That's like pretty much common throughout all of the band pieces at this level. So one player plays the low staff, the lower voice bass drum part, and the top voice is the snare drum. So yeah, 2 players for that usually. I added a lot more auxiliary percussion than I've seen in some pieces, but I think it adds a lot. Woodblock is pretty common. I have claves, a tambourine. This is just played by one player. Just make sure there's time in between to switch, like here. And for percussion 3, I have a triangle and then a low tom. So here's a low tom, which I need to mark too. So whenever there's an instrument change or something, you need to mark it up here, and I didn't do that. So like for woodblock I did. You have to indicate each time with the notation if it changes, like here, tambourine. yeah, just make sure you're very specific with that, because you know the kids are gonna be kind of confused and they can't really tell what you're trying to write if it's not really explicit, and I need to get rid of that. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much how it went, and I recommend doing this if you're a band composer and you haven't really written, or any composer really who hasn't written for younger kids. It's a really fun experiment to try, because it's challenging. It's a lot more challenging than you think, to be able to have all these restrictions with range, rhythm, expressibility really. So trying to do that is gonna be really cool, and it'll help you. It's a learning experience pretty much. Oh yeah, so I'm pretty much gonna try to just self-publish this, because if you want to make money in the band world, just write for middle schools, because they just, or elementary schools, because they just eat this stuff up. Usually they play for their concerts out of their method books, which is something you want to keep in mind. So if you want to be able to stay apart from the, be a little bit more different and be chosen over method book excerpts, is have some memorable parts, like the clapping and stuff, and just make it exciting for the kids. So that's how you kind of get chosen over those method book examples, which are they're just god awful. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this. It was a fun video to make, and it was a really fun piece to write too. So again, just some quick takeaways to recap everything. So when writing for really young players in a, I guess, large ensemble setting like this, or really any music for that matter, is keeping in mind the ranges. So their first beginning pitches that they ever learn. I'll try to leave resources down below, or if I had any on the screen. You want to keep rhythms fairly simple too, and also same thing with articulations and dynamics. And just a little cherry on top for getting your pieces programmed in concerts, or even sold for that matter. Try to make them more exciting than the method book examples that they usually pick for their concerts or whatever. If you can make it memorable for the kids, something fun like clapping or shouting, or some like cool heroic theme or something that gets the kids very rowdy and excited to play, then I think that's a good thing to do. So if you guys are interested in more videos like this, where I kind of deep dive into the work of a composer and what I do, I have a composing career playlist that you should check out after this video. And if you want to see more of my freeform thoughts in a less structured way than this, then I have a podcast called the Composer's Journal, which is on all the podcasting platforms. It's just basically an elaboration of the topics I talk about on this channel, but no, I'm not restrained by the pressures of time or editing for that matter. So check that out down below if you're interested, and it's hosted by yours truly, so you should be very excited. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and keep writing.